My name is Emily. I'm 19 years old. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I just finished high school a few months ago. I live with my mom and little brother, Ryan. Life is quiet. I stay home most days, help around the house, and sometimes go out for coffee. I don't have a job yet. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do next. But one thing I do know, Jake made my days feel less ordinary. I met Jake during my last year of school. He was in my math class. He was kind, quiet, and always helped others. He was the kind of boy who opened doors for teachers and picked up dropped books without being asked. Most boys joked around or tried to show off, but not Jake. He stayed calm. He smiled a lot, but never too big. Just a soft, polite smile. I liked that about him. For weeks, we didn't talk. We just passed each other in the halls. But then one afternoon in the library, I dropped my notebook. I bent down to pick it up, but he got to it first. "Here you go," he said. "Thanks," I replied, feeling a little shy. He noticed the book I was holding. "That one's good. Kind of sad, though," he added. I smiled and said, "I'll still read it." After that, we started talking more often. Little things at first. Homework, books, music. Then more. Sometimes we studied together in the school library. Sometimes we walked home part of the way. He didn't live far from me. One evening while walking, he told me something personal. "My dad moved to Texas," he said. "I live with my mom now." I nodded and said, "I live with my mom too. My dad left when I was small." He looked at me and said softly, "That must have been hard." I shrugged. "It's just how it is." He paused, then said, "You're stronger than you look." My heart felt warm after that. I kept hearing his words again in my head when I went to sleep that night. Over time, I started thinking about Jake more. He was gentle. He made me feel seen. I didn't know if he liked me the same way, but I wanted to be near him. I started waiting for his messages. I smiled more when he was around. I wasn't sure what it meant yet, but it felt like something real. Then came Rachel. Rachel was smart and very pretty. She wore nice clothes and always had perfect hair. She laughed a lot. People liked her. I had nothing against her, but something about her made me feel unsure. One day, I saw her talking to Jake. She touched his arm and laughed at something he said. He smiled back. It was a small moment, but it stayed with me. Later that week, I saw her sit beside him in the cafeteria. She gave him a juice bottle. He said thanks and opened it. They talked for a while. I sat at a different table and watched. I couldn't eat much. I felt something strange inside me. I didn't want to name it yet, but I felt it all the same. That evening, I messaged Jake. "Hey, wanna go for a short walk after dinner?" He replied, "Sorry, I've got plans tonight. Maybe tomorrow?" I typed back, "No problem." But I didn't ask who the plans were with. I didn't want to sound like I cared too much. The next day, I saw him and Rachel walking together near the bookstore downtown. They were laughing. Again, that strange feeling came back. It was like a quiet pain, sitting just under my chest. I didn't say anything to Jake the next time I saw him, but later that night, he messaged me, "Can we talk tomorrow? Just us?" I said yes. We met at the small park near my house. The air was cool. The sky looked soft and gray. We sat on a wooden bench near the trees. "I saw you and Rachel," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. He nodded. "Yeah. She's been around a lot lately." "Do you like her?" I asked. Jake looked away for a second. Then he said, "She's nice, but I don't know what I feel right now." I looked down at my hands. "So why do you spend time with her?" He took a deep breath. "I guess I'm just tired. People expect things from me. Rachel wants things too. But it's hard to think sometimes." "I don't want anything from you," I said quietly. He looked at me. His voice softened. "I know. That's why I like being around you." I didn't say anything, but inside, my heart started to hope again. The next few days were confusing. Jake still messaged me, still talked to me at school, but he also spent time with Rachel. She started posting pictures on her social media. One was a photo of them sitting at a table together. She had written, "My favorite person." I stared at the photo for a long time. My stomach felt tight. I didn't know what they were. I didn't know what we were. I didn't ask him about it. I didn't want to seem jealous, but I was. A few days later, Rachel came up to me at lunch. She smiled. "Hey, Emily. I know you and Jake are close." I nodded, unsure of where this was going. "He's great," she said. "We've been hanging out a lot." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Then she walked away. I sat there, unable to eat. I didn't know if that was a warning or just her way of telling me that I was too late. That evening, I went back to the park bench where I had talked to Jake. I sat alone, hoping he might come. But he didn't. The next morning at school, I saw him by the lockers. He looked tired. "You okay?" I asked. He gave a small smile. "Just thinking too much." "Me too," I said. He looked at me for a long second. "You're one of the few people I feel normal around." I wanted to hold on to that moment. I wanted to ask him to stop seeing Rachel, but I didn't. I didn't want to push, so I stayed quiet. I didn't know what would happen next, but I could feel something shifting, and not in a way that felt good. Before I go on, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. The next few weeks passed slowly. Jake still talked to me, but something had changed. Sometimes he was quiet, even when we were alone. Sometimes he replied late to my messages. And Rachel? She was always around. At school, at the coffee shop, outside the library. Always smiling. Always near him. One day, I saw them walking together again. This time, she was holding his arm. I watched from across the street. I tried to tell myself it didn't matter, but it did. It mattered more than I wanted it to. That night, I couldn't sleep. I stared at my ceiling and thought about everything. About Jake, about Rachel, about the way things used to feel simple. I thought about how much I liked him, how safe I felt when we talked. I missed that feeling. I missed him, and yet he wasn't even gone. The next day at school, I tried to act normal. I smiled at my classmates. I did my work, but my heart felt heavy. During lunch, I saw Jake sitting alone at the edge of the courtyard. I walked over and sat down beside him. "You okay?" I asked. He looked at me and nodded. "Yeah, just tired." There was a long pause. Then I said, "You don't talk to me as much lately." Jake looked down. "I know. I'm sorry." I waited, hoping he'd say more, hoping he'd explain. But he didn't. Are you with Rachel now?" I asked. He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "I don't know. She likes me, I guess. I'm trying to figure things out." I bit my lip. "And me? What about us?" Jake looked at me, and for a moment I thought he was going to say something honest, something real, but instead he just said, "I don't want to hurt anyone." Those words hurt more than anything. I stood up. "You already are." I walked away before he could say anything else. Later that evening, I went to my favorite spot near the lake. It was quiet there. I sat on the bench and watched the water move. I thought about the past few months, about the library, about the park, about the way Jake made me feel when he said I was strong. It all felt far away now. The next day, I saw Rachel again. She smiled at me in the hallway. "Hey," she said like nothing was wrong. I didn't smile back. "You win," I said quietly. She tilted her head. "Win what?" "Jake," I said. "You got what you wanted." She laughed a little. "Is that what you think? That this is some kind of game?" I looked at her. "Isn't it?" Rachel didn't answer. She just walked away, her smile gone. After that, things got even colder. Jake stopped texting me. He didn't sit with me at lunch. He stopped walking my way after school. I tried not to care, but every day felt heavier than the last. Then one morning, something happened. Jake didn't come to school. At first, I thought he was sick, but then he didn't come the next day, or the day after that. By Friday, people were talking. Someone said he moved. Someone else said he just left town with his mom. No one seemed to know for sure. I checked my phone. No new messages. I sent one. "Hey, where are you?" No reply. I waited a few more days. Still nothing. Then one night, I saw his name pop up on my screen. Jake. I'm sorry I didn't say goodbye. We moved to Ohio. Things were too messy. I needed a break from everything. I stared at the message. My hands felt cold. I typed, "Why didn't you tell me?" He replied, "Because I didn't want to make it harder. I care about you. I care about Rachel too. But I couldn't choose. So I left." I didn't know what to say, so I didn't reply. That night, I sat in bed and cried. Not loud, not messy, just quiet tears that wouldn't stop. I wasn't crying because I lost him. I was crying because there was never a choice. We both gave our hearts to someone who couldn't hold them. At school, people kept talking about Jake. Rachel didn't say much. She looked different now. Not happy, not proud, just quiet. We passed each other in the hall one afternoon. We didn't speak. We didn't smile. We were two girls who wanted the same boy, and neither of us got him. Later that week, I went back to the lake. The bench was empty. The wind was soft. I sat there and closed my eyes. I thought about what Jake said, that he couldn't choose. Maybe he was right. Maybe he wasn't ready for love. Maybe he never really loved either of us. Or maybe he did, but not enough. I took a deep breath and whispered to myself, "It's okay. You're going to be okay." And for the first time in weeks, I believed it. Jake left. Rachel lost. I let go. Sometimes love doesn't have a happy ending. Sometimes the person you want walks away. But that doesn't mean your story ends there. It just means a new chapter is waiting. Weeks passed. The weather got colder. Leaves turned red and gold. School felt different without Jake. His name came up less and less. People moved on. But I didn't forget him. Not yet. I still walked past the library where we first spoke. I still sat on our park bench sometimes. I didn't expect him to come back. I knew he wouldn't. But memories don't leave as quickly as people do. Rachel didn't talk to me again. She stopped smiling at school. She walked with her friends, but her face looked tired. One day, I saw her standing alone near the lockers. She looked at her phone, then put it away quickly. I knew that feeling, waiting for a message that never comes. We never said it out loud, but both of us had the same truth in our hearts. Jake left, and we were both just names in his story. One afternoon, I sat at the lake again. I watched the water move slowly. The sky was soft and gray. I remembered the last time Jake sat beside me. I remembered his quiet voice and the way he looked down when he didn't know what to say. He was never cruel. He was just unsure. Maybe that was worse. I pulled out my phone and read his last message again. I couldn't choose, so I left. I stared at those words. Part of me wanted to be angry, but I wasn't. I was just tired. I stood up and walked around the water. The air was cool on my face. For the first time, I felt something different. Not sadness, not pain, just peace. He was gone. And now, I could begin again. A few days later, I saw Rachel at the small bookstore near school. She was looking at the poetry section. I was just there to buy a notebook. I almost walked away, but then I saw her wipe her eyes. She turned and saw me. For a second, we just stood there, two girls with the same story. She walked up to me. Her voice was soft. "Do you still think I won?" I shook my head. "No. I think we both lost." She gave a sad smile. "I guess that's true." We didn't talk long. Just a few words. But in that small moment, I didn't feel alone anymore. We both liked the same boy. We both gave him pieces of our hearts. And he left both behind. That night, I wrote in my notebook. I wrote about Jake, about what he meant to me, about how he made me feel strong, then confused, then invisible. I didn't write to send it to him. I wrote so I could stop carrying the weight in my chest. I started writing more after that. Not about Jake, about other things, dreams, plans, myself. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with my life, but I knew I had to start somewhere, so I did. One Sunday morning, I was at the cafe near the school. I saw someone from my old English class sitting at a table. His name was Noah. He smiled and waved. I waved back and sat a few tables away. He came over. "Hey," he said. "I haven't seen you in a while." "Yeah. Things got quiet after graduation." We talked for a little while, about books, about music, nothing deep, but it felt good to laugh. I didn't think about Jake while we talked, and that was something new. When I walked home later, I smiled to myself. Not because I liked Noah. I didn't. Not yet. But because I didn't feel broken anymore. I felt light. Free. A few days later, I heard someone at school say Jake posted pictures from his new town. He looked happy. Some people said he got a job. Others said he was starting college soon. I didn't look him up. I didn't want to know. I didn't need to. Rachel didn't ask about him either. She stopped posting pictures. She joined the art club. I heard she started painting again. As for me, I kept writing. I started taking walks again, not hoping to see anyone, just walking for myself. I started smiling at small things again. Sunlight through trees, music on the radio, a good book on a rainy day. Love can feel big. It can feel like it will last forever, but sometimes it doesn't. And when it ends, it's easy to think you did something wrong. But I didn't. Rachel didn't. We both gave what we had. It just wasn't enough for someone who didn't know what he wanted. Jake never chose either of us. And maybe that was the best thing he ever did. because it gave us both a chance to choose ourselves. The last time I cried for him, I didn't know it was the last time. It just happened. One evening, I sat by the window and felt the tears fall. But when they stopped, I didn't feel empty. I felt calm, like a storm had passed. That's how healing begins, not with a big moment, but with small changes. Less pain, more peace. Jake was part of my story, but he wasn't the whole story. And now, it's my turn to write the rest. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon.